live. All right, we are at the top of the hour, and so the February 13th, 2025 meeting of the Lawrence Board of Public Works and Safety will come to order. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the regular meetings from the January 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes as presented.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the regular meeting minutes from January 23rd, 2025. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is unfinished business. And I'm going to mention here that I had asked the city controller to be here this evening, but it turns out he is out of town until next week. And I would actually suggest that perhaps we continue to table this until...
I move that we table it until such time as the controller is available.
Very good, thank you. Is there a second to
I
this?
second.
Been moved and seconded to table the acknowledgement of interagency agreements vis the ARPA funding between the city's controller office and the police and fire departments and the Department of Public Works and Safety, respectively. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item is new business, and the first item is the approval of the First Amendment to Professional Services Agreement with Catalyst Public Affairs Group. And
Mr. Chairman, I have read the First Amendment. I understand it's for lobbyist services for the current session of the Indiana General Assembly. I also, through the controller's office, through the treasurer's office, do work with Catalyst. He reached out to me to tell me that he could not be here this afternoon, but was all in agreement and would like to move forward. So if there's no objection, I move approval of the Professional Services Agreement Amendment to Catalyst.
thank you, Mrs. Lawrence. Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the, further discussion on the amended professional service agreement with Catalyst Public Affairs Group? Yep. Greg, Mr. Chief of Staff?
Yes.
Please.
Just want to mention on this Catalyst contract that the mayor renegotiated this down from $72,000 a year to $36,000 a year, so a $36,000 a year savings to taxpayers.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Okay, that's been moved and seconded for approval. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item is item 3, which is approval of legal service agreement with Taft, Stettinius, and Hollister LLC.
Hi, Donnie Morgan from the Taft Law Firm. I'm happy to answer any questions. Just briefly on the agreement. Some of you I know from my previous life as the Corporation Counsel for the City of Indianapolis. I'm now in private practice with a practice focused almost entirely on public sector clients, so representing cities, towns, counties, and public universities. So we are certainly happy to help the mayor and city attorney and their team as legal needs come up during the year, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions?
And is this for general legal services?
Yeah, so the way this, the contract is set up is it's a fairly broad scope of work focused on sort of public sector, the common issues that face public sector clients. And so the idea would be that it would be sort of an as needed as the city needs outside counsel help.
Okay.
Having worn Amber's hat in the past, I know sometimes those things come up where you need that niche help and you turn to a place on the outside that has that. So it would be an as needed sort of engagement by engagement
So
contract.
it'd be sort of comparable to me using OCC. I never know what I'm going to talk to them about. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just like sometimes OCC doesn't have that and that's the Office of Corporation Counsel for the city and county, they don't always have that internal expertise, so they sometimes turn to outside counsel. This is sort of the city legal here in Lawrence's equivalent of that, where this is their contract to turn for outside counsel when they need help on some niche issue.
Okay, I just wanted to determine if it were related to a specific litigation. It's just broad range of services. Okay.
Any other questions?
Now, Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the legal services agreement with Taft, Stettinius, and Hollister.
Thank you, Mrs. Lawrence. Is there
All
a
right,
second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion
Aye.
carries. Thank you, sir. Next item is item 4, approval of quote from Working Brothers for the 2025 violations remediation services. Yes. Mrs. Rafala?
Yes, thank you, members of the board. Working Brothers will be providing property remediation services. We had a quote from another vendor a few meetings ago, and we always like to have more than one on board. Their prices are right in line with the other vendors, and we just would like to ask your approval to let them come on board and help us clean up Lawrence.
Thank you, Mrs. Rafala and Working Brothers. Is there any questions?
I have none.
None.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the quote from Working Brothers for 2025 violation remediation services.
It's been
I
moved.
second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Working Brothers. Next one is item 5, which is submission of certified bid tabulation for 2024-2 resurfacing improvements and recommendation from Shrewsbury regarding the lowest, most responsive bid received. Request for authorization to proceed with contract negotiations. Mrs. Rafala?
So back in the fall of '24, Lawrence was awarded a grant from NDOT for the Community Crossing Matching Grant. We have sent that out to bid, opened the bids, reviewed the bids, and Shrewsbury has certified the bid tabulation. It appears that Howard Companies is the lowest, most responsive bid, coming in at $893,821.15. We would like permission from the board to enter into contract negotiations with Howard Companies for this project.
Thank you.
I can give you the streets that are gonna be done, and
Was that in the list that you sent this
It is.
morning? Okay.
if you want it.
I reviewed it.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
It is our intention also to bring that contract after we've negotiated it to the next meeting on the 27th for the board's final approval.
Very good. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the request for authorization to proceed to contract negotiations with Power and Company for the work as outlined in the agreement.
Thank you. Mrs. Lawrence, has there been moved?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Michael. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item is item 6, which is the approval of engagement letter with Krieg DeVault. Mr. Goodnight?
President, I just want to note that this is not an increase. This is the same rate that we paid last year for those services at the State House for our lobbying efforts. No increase at all.
Thank you. Any questions?
Does this need to be approved at this meeting?
I think so. I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just, we just got the agenda with these 2 items added,
Yeah.
and it's a little uncomfortable for me.
Sure.
So I was just going to suggest moving them to the next meeting. I also don't want to hold up the legislative session.
They are providing services, and and for the record, they both, Catalyst and Creek, came to the last city council meeting and answered questions from the city council. That gives you any comfort?
Okay.
I think
Okay.
your question, Mrs. Lawrence, may relate to not those particulars, but not to mischaracterize what I think you're saying.
The timeliness?
Is legal notice, in other words, that the public knowing in advance that this action would be, would that be accurate?
That's part of it
Yep.
too, but it's also our ability to review
Precisely.
Yeah.
documents.
Precisely.
We're waiting on a couple of signatures even as late as today because there was the mayor kind of stood her ground on providing an increase and that was kind of the negotiation process taking place. That's kind of where she just was adamant about not increasing their fee.
Okay, so is your preference that we go ahead and approve
If
these?
possible, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move approval of the engagement letter with Craig DeVault.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'd second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is is item 7, approval of engagement letter with Herd Strategies.
Yeah, just real quickly, Herd Strategies is a local communications and marketing company, and this is just a 3-month contract not to exceed $20,000. Help with marketing for the city.
Okay. Any questions?
I have no questions, and I move approval of the engagement letter with Herd Strategies.
It's been moved. Is there a
I'd
second?
second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is, Mr. Goodnight might stay up. There's comments from the administration. Are there any further comments that
No,
you'd like to share?
Not today. Thank you so much.
We appreciate that very much. I would like to acknowledge and thank, we have the Honorable Deb Whitfield, our mayor, is with us this evening. Mayor, do you have any comments that you'd like to share with the board this evening? Okay. Well, we always appreciate your presence and welcome. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Councilmember Liz Mazur. Councilman, we're glad to see you as always. And is there anything that you would care to address to the board this evening?
Well, I was pleased to hear about the Catalyst, their bill being $36,000 a year. How much is the Creek DeVault? How much?
The Chief of Staff is indicating it's the same, it's equivalent, yeah. So,
Thank you.
any other questions or comments, council member?
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, I appreciate it very much. Are there any members of the audience of the public? I see none, but Madam Secretary, is anybody online?
No.
Okay. Well, that ends with no citizen comments. Our next item on the agenda is a motion to adjourn.
I move adjournment.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.